Welcome to Creepypasta. Please like, share and subscribe. This will help us make more content for you. Thank you.
I saw myself, who stopped me from being hit by a car. I have never in my entire life experienced anything remotely like what has just happened to me now. And also, I'm not crazy. I finished work at around 10:15 p.m., so it was pitch black, and cycled home. It's roughly a 25-minute cycle back home, and as I got into my little town, I was approaching the crossroads in which I go straight ahead at when I am cycling home. Upon approach to the crossroads, the light is red, but I'm still a good 10 to 15 seconds away from it, so I continue at the speed I'm going. I see another cyclist coming toward me on the other side of the road, from the direction I'm headed, and speeds over the crossroads. As he is approaching me, I see he is wearing the exact same high-vis helmet and jacket as me, as well as the same red backpack. By this point, the lights had turned amber, and then green, so I thanked my luck for not having to stop, and kept going at the same speed I was going at. Just as I was on approach to the green light, this other cyclist was right in front of me, but on the other side of the road, and passing me. As he passes me, he says, "Careful mate," in my voice. My exact voice. And also, I'm not from the country I live in, so my accent is very unique, and it was the same tone of voice and everything. I stopped my bike and turned around, no traffic behind me as the roads are dead at this time of night, and he had vanished. There was no way he could have turned down a side road, or made it so far he was out of sight. He mysteriously vanished. I turned back around to begin cycling again, and all of a sudden, a car sped across the road, at around double the speed limit, running a red light. If I hadn't have stopped to look at this mysterious person, who looked and sounded exactly like me, I'd have been hit side-on and likely died. I don't believe in anything supernatural, and I'm not religious, but this is making me question some things. I think if this person hadn't have just vanished after the warning, then I could answer it as a very unlikely event that someone who looks and sounds just like me, had maybe seen the car approaching. But, he vanished. TLDR, I was warned by someone who looked and sounded exactly like myself of some danger. I stopped and turned around from shock of seeing myself, and he disappeared, then a car ran a red light and sped across the road I was literally about to cycle over.
Comments. Oh, have you seen that video of a guy sweeping outside? Some guy walking by him, taps him on the shoulder, warning him to look out, then a truck with an open tailgate swings open, almost hitting him. When he turned to look at his savior, he's gone. But I swear, the dude looks exactly like him in the video.
Maybe the loop will close eventually. One day, when you are riding on the other side of the road, and you see yourself, you can give the warning.
Never believed in time travel, but yes, that's what makes the most sense here. After time travel is invented, you left your broken body, and time traveled your consciousness back to an earlier version of yourself, to prevent the accident that crippled you. As soon as your accident was prevented, the tangent timeline was truncated and your GIMP self disappeared, no longer able to interact with this branch.
I met me from the future and can't stop thinking about it. This is a story that haunts me daily. This happened in 1992, I had just graduated high school, and was working in a warehouse. I kinda enjoyed it, and settled thinking I will probably retire here. Yup. I had zero ambition. I was a sad, lazy, cringe-inducing shitbag. A new guy started. It's a warehouse with high turnover, so nothing unusual about new guys. And everyone asked if we were related because we looked alike. He was probably late 30s, early 40s, and I was 18 at the time, and he was fatter. He seemed to carry himself like me, the way he walked and spoke. His second day, we worked together on a wrapping station, and the first thing he said to me was, "You still have that magazine under your mattress?" I did. Weird, but totally normal for teen boys, I suppose. He then said, "I know everything about you. You are worried about never getting a girlfriend. I was floored, but I again thought it was a usual teenage thing. I mean, I wasn't the best looking guy, so I guess it wasn't a stretch to guess. Probably the start of bullying, and the end of my job, as one thing I liked most about myself is that I have no problems fighting anyone, anywhere, anytime. No matter how big, or how many, I was always down. I never won, but could take a beating and the person usually quit, and never messed with me again. I asked him why he was saying all these things, and he looked at me, and his expression is seared into my mind, and left an image I see daily. He said, "I am you." He then went on to tell me everything about myself. I mean, my deepest darkest secrets. That no one knows. Then he kept telling me more about myself. We then went to lunch, and were outside smoking, and yup, same brand Camel White regulars. Hard to find where I lived, so I never seen anyone else smoking them. I asked him to be serious, and how he knew all this stuff. He said, "I already told you Tom Thok." Tom Thok is a nickname only one person called me, and he was my dad's friend, I barely saw. A crappy Jetta pulled into the parking lot, and he said that's our girl. She is a demon who is horrible to us. I asked him why he is with her, and he said, she is the best we could do. When she got out she said, "Let's go." Before he left, he stared right into my soul and said, "We deserve better, please go to college, and stop being lazy, and make something out of yourself." Girl just kinda laughed, like yeah right. He left with her, and I never saw him again. I think I ran into a younger version of her, at a friend's house, years later, and he introduced me and said we should hook up. I said, no. I went to college and stopped being a pathetic lazy cringe fest. I accomplished everything I set out to do, as I always felt the need to not let him down. I know none of this makes sense. How can I explain something that I can barely understand myself? None of it makes sense whatsoever, like why would a future me get a job with me? He had to fill out a job application and have his references checked, right? Yes, I asked my manager who was a POS, who just told me to mind my own damn business and focus on my job, and to try to be less of a screw-up. Has anyone had something like this happen to them? It's haunted me daily since. I am 48 and have not seen any time travel machines. Help me out here, maybe end this once and for all. Please tell me your experience.
Comments. Reminds me of that one South Park episode, where the parents hired actors pretending to be their older selves who screwed up their life.
Way less intense, but I kind of think maybe I encountered myself as an old lady. LOL, also very easily could have just been a random old lady, but 10-ish years ago, in my early 20s, I spent a summer working in the backcountry, as a trail steward, in a huge mountain range. I summited a bunch of the peaks, but there was one I particularly liked. It had a beautiful view, and wasn't as strenuous a climb as some others, but because it was pretty deep in the range it wasn't super popular. I was stationed deep in the mountains the week of my birthday, so I decided that on the day, I'd spend the morning revisiting my favorite peak, then hike out to celebrate with my friends. I climbed the peak, hung out there for a while, then started the 8-mile hike out. Along the trail, like super deep in the wilderness still, I ran into an old lady hiking by herself. She was in good shape, and seemed to be doing fine, but she was definitely older than most solo hikers that deep in the mountains, at least in her 70s. Snow-white hair, deep wrinkles. I said hi. I was wearing my uniform, trail steward shirt and DEC hat, so I often had people ask me for directions and stuff. This lady asked me how far it was to my favorite peak, the one I had just come down from. I told her, and asked if she'd been there before. Oh yeah, she said, it's my favorite. When she smiled, I noticed something funny. I have a distinctly sharp right canine tooth, and so did she. Wish I'd asked her if it was perhaps also her birthday. Instead I just wished her a great hike, and went on my way. I swear I don't see glitches everywhere, but this quick little moment with a stranger has just always stuck in my head. If I make it to my 70s and am still capable of mountaineering, I'll have to go back there on my birthday and see if I run into my early 20s self.
Do you have a creepy story? Please share it with us in the comments, and we will post it on the channel. Please subscribe. Thank you.